We are back on MorningLine. Thanks for joining us on this Monday. Tim Takis with us with his bow tie and everything else.
Absolutely.
Elder law attorney taking your phone calls. Again, power of attorney, wills, trusts, reverse mortgages. If you have questions on that.
We need to get you into a bow tie. I've just got...
I could, clip-on bow tie?
No.
You wouldn't allow it?
No. No,
that's a sharp. That is a sharp one.
Thank you.
And it is your trademark to some degree. You and Orville Redenbacher.
Oh gosh.
Well, I think bow ties, and they're classy. I like bow ties.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hey, whenever you come on, I always try to think about cases maybe that have made the news that we can talk about. And the most recent one was something our own Phil Williams broke with the I-Team. I think it was last week or the week before, talking about a state and the battles sometimes that occur over wills. And the latest is Fred Thompson, the deceased former senator. If you saw the story where it appears as though I think maybe two of his sons are challenging the will from his widow, who was, I believe, his second wife. And I don't remember specifically, I think, the allegation, or I don't know if there's an allegation, that the will was changed just a couple of weeks before he passed away. And whatever the changes are, they don't like. And the question is, was he of right mind? Was the wife, orchestrating this? How do you get into all that now? I mean, you saw what I'm talking about.
Sure.
What are we looking at? Is this a typical will challenge? I mean, I know you don't know any more of the details than I know from the news.
That's true. Exactly.
But when this happens, when you have, the children challenging it, now this is not their biological mother, and of course, maybe you figure
this is the first wife.
A dynamic that the second wife here, who is not the father or mother of these children, and the father passes away. I think Fred Thompson had a decent estate, and now there's a battle over money. And did the second wife try to arrange so it's all for her and none for the kids? And I don't know.
And that's generally where it occurs. Is that you have second families or blended families where, like in his instance, Senator Thompson married this woman who was much younger than he. And actually I even remember when, I guess probably it was 20-some years ago, reading about that in the newspaper, and there was something in the paper about that, about knowing that he's likely to expire when his children are, I don't know how old his second, how old those children are. Right. I don't know if they're minors or not, but
no, I think they're adult.
They're adults. Okay.
But anyway, so does the challenge? It sounds to me like if they're going to challenge whether or not he made the change. The debate will be whether or not he was of sound mind when he made that change, or whether or not he was overly manipulated by someone. Is that what they have to determine?
The legal term, there's some legal terms there. The one legal term is called undue influence. Okay. Now, I often say is that people influence us all the time. For better or for worse. I mean, it doesn't mean it's good or bad. Exactly, and the idea is that he's married to this woman for I guess 20 years or whatever it is, and he has children by her, and they're, like you said, maybe adults, or and so needless to say, he's going to be influenced by her, and that's what he's supposed to be. But the question is not whether he was influenced, but whether the influence was undue, which essentially means was it her will that was being dominant here as opposed to his.
And that is where the judges come in. It's
exactly. It is very tricky.
Now, do you look at whether at that stage what his mental competence was? Let's imagine he was, and I don't know with Fred Thompson how far along, if there was some senility or Alzheimer's as a factor.
Typically what the law would look at would be, all right, was he under, what factors were present in him that may have compromised his ability to make his own decision. Like you said, did he have a chronic illness? Was he under the, was he taking medications? What were those medications? All of those sorts of things that that would come into play, because you have undue influence, and then you also have mental capacity. Did he have the capacity, to make his own decision? I mean, clearly, people who are in a coma don't.
No, they're right. They couldn't do that.
But capacity is not an all or nothing thing, and we all know that. And the question is how far along is that? Where and then you have this on top of that. You're going, well. who are the natural objects of his bounty? His wife, right? His children, all of them. Right? He had children by not only, by his second marriage, but by his existing marriage, but by a previous marriage. And so those were the natural objects of his bounty. And the question would be is that, apparently for for those children, did his widow rearrange or cause to rearrange his estate in such a way that it favored?
Yeah, that's what I assume it was favored. So the two things they'll do, and I want to get to a call here, is they'll look at it and either determine there was undue, and if there was undue influence, they would go back to the prior will, perhaps?
Right.
And then if not, they let the existing one stand.
Right.
But that's how that battle will play out.
And Nick, a lot of times the way that stuff happens is, Fred Thompson goes, okay, you would think, he's planning ahead and doing that. And he probably did. But his widow, and I remember, everybody should know I'm just completely speculating here.
We don't know any more.
I have no idea, but I can just tell you that, there are times where, because I've seen this in my practice, where families come in and they go, Mom did a will 20 years ago, and she has not changed it, and she and I have talked about it from often, and she said, no, I don't really want to do this anymore.
So things have changed, and so there's a legit reason to change something, maybe.
But she never got around to doing that.
Okay, right.
And then then the daughter comes in to me and says, well, we really need to change it. And I'm going, I don't know that we can. I mean, I had that case where I walk in and I talk to the client, and say, let's talk about, do you want to change your estate plan? And she wasn't ready to talk about it. But she lacked the, and as I told her daughter, I said, I understand that this is what your mom told you, but she's had 15 or 20 years to go see another lawyer to make her change. And I'm not going to change it now.
All right, but all these factors, I just find it fascinating.
It really is fascinating,
All right, we can talk more about that, but let's take a call from Rick. Rick, good morning.
Morning.
Hi, Rick.
Hello,
How
Rick.
can we help you?
Got a question. I've got one parent that passed away, Alzheimer's, and I have another parent still alive. There is a business involved that I thought was a family business. Well, now, during the process of one of my parents being real sick, he was called in to sign some papers to sign over his business from one of my siblings or one of my family members. And he will not let anybody look at the paper. And I'm trying to find out kind of what course to take. Do I need to wait till the one parent that's still alive is gone, or do I need to look at this now, or
I think I can answer that question.
Okay, listen up, and if you have a question for him as we go ahead. But listen up, and we'll leave you on the line here.
And what Rick is saying is that that same right along the same line here is that was his father unduly influenced to do something like he said, he thought it was the family business, but now suddenly it maybe become not just the whole family business, but just one little part of that business. And he's going, well, should I wait until should I wait until mom passes away, or should I do something now? And my response to that would be is that he needs to seek I would suggest that he seek counsel
immediately now.
Right, because not because necessarily whether he has a claim now, but an attorney might be able to help him sort out what information he needs to start getting.
So you're afraid then, Rick, that many of the family will be locked out of this because of this new agreement that was signed?
already are.
What's that?
They already are.
Yeah.
There's one that's the control of the whole business. He ran it for one of my parents for years, and then while one of my parents had Alzheimer's, he whips out a paper and has them to asked him to sign it, and
Is this a family member, or is this just someone else that was working for him?
this is a family member.
Okay, so this one family member got him to sign it, and now he has total control, and the other family members are going to be left out in the cold.
Right. And it's the same sort of thing that we were
Okay.
it's the same sort of thing we were just talking about is that okay, his, the parent he says Alzheimer's disease. Did he know what he was doing? Did he have counsel? He said somebody signed papers.
Right.
Who prepared those papers? What are those papers? All of those sorts of things.
Well, now you can't even see the paper. He said the guy won't show him. Now, is there a way
Sure,
that
exactly.
you can? Is there a way? Let's say he comes to
Yeah.
you. Is there a way you'll be able to compel this individual to turn that over to you? I would think. He has to show it and prove that he's in
sure.
charge.
Well, in the long run, that's what a court is for.
Well, the judge will order him to
exactly.
produce that document.
Exactly.
He's going to have to show it
and
one way or
that's
the
kind of
other.
why I'm suggesting to Rick, I say, look, you need to go get counsel to make sure that you not necessarily preserve evidence, but make sure that Rick understands what his rights are, what facts Rick should be gathering, what is out there that maybe would be helpful to a case or not. Are there medical records that he needs to start collecting? Should he file a lawsuit? Should he petition the court and ask for a conservator be appointed for somebody? Should a lawsuit be filed against the business? I mean, all of those sorts of things that since I really don't practice in that type of litigation, which is really becoming more of that's becoming more and more of a big deal.
It's
state litigation.
State litigation nowadays. Okay.
Yeah, it's really almost starting to become a specialty of its own, where people are,
Well, because they're challenging estates.
they're challenging
constantly.
estates. Just because, like what you're seeing, like with the Fred Thompson case, changes are made within the last month of death. Where why were those changes made? Did the decedent know what he was doing? Was he unduly influenced? All those sorts of things that come up that. That's what it's about.
Man, all right.
Yeah,
well, I think then
is,
at least, Rick, what you need to do is possibly, your office can help with that, correct?
Just call the office and we'll refer him to somebody.
Yeah, Rick, listen, we'll have the contact information for Tim up at the end of the program. And, you may want to make a call on that, because I think you're right. Don't wait on that. Get moving. And he didn't say how big a business and how much money we're talking about, but it could be a good sum.
Bit,
and again, this just highlights more, I think, too, the importance of making sure your will is set the way you want it and done properly, so that any legal challenges, are not going to hold water.
Yeah, and it's important, I think, to emphasize is that the other side of the coin is that there are people that file suit because, well, I know if I sue, the likelihood is I'll be able to settle.
Right. See, that's the thing. And so
if you've been sued or you've been threatened to be sued, call our office too, and we'll refer you to somebody, because
that's the way it works.
It's the way it works. Yeah.
You want to have that, but have that will in place. And people. Money brings greedy people out. End of story. Listen, on that note, we'll take a break. More of your phone calls. We'll get into more about the wills as well, if you'd like. When we come back, our final segment right after this.